But what she's finding is that doesn't account for all the facts. And what are some of those facts? Well, she's an archaeologist, so what she's noticed is that, well, first of all, this crater that was purportedly responsible, the impact of which was responsible for the demise of the dinosaurs, was first of all much smaller than was originally thought of. And she also has found data to suggest that the ecosystem was in a state of intense degradation before this impact. It's as if the impact covered up what was going on. And as a matter of fact, she also suggests that there wasn't just one impact, it was a series of impacts that is responsible for this. And in short, as you can see, C under Roman 2, that the ecosystem was unraveling before the major impact that most people assume is responsible for the dinosaurs, but does not really account for all the facts in all the data that she's found. And so my point is, as I wrote there, the point is that though simplicity combined with explanatory power is highly valued, this almost, I hesitate to use the word obsession, but let's say preference for simple, elegant explanations leaves unexplained many of the details and complexities that are part of any natural event or phenomenon. And that would bring us back to the emergence of human languages, right? Natural phenomena. I'm going to add that little wisecrack there about not all dinosaurs were extinct either. We like to believe it. All right, so then in B, it's my feeling through field work, and this is something that I've just become, really I've only been an academic for 10 years, so that whole 10 years has been about describing undescribed varieties. And I've worked on varieties in St. Eustatius, varieties in Dominica, and varieties in Barbuda. St. Eustatius is a little island near St. Martin. Dominica you've probably heard of. It's near Martinique. And Barbuda, not Barbados, is just north of Antigua. And I just give you a few superficial features. Superficial in that there's not very many, because I don't want to get too focused on this. But St. Eustatius does not seem really to be a Creole, except in the sociolinguistic sense, as described by Sally Twain. By the way, the asteroid theory that I'm working with was very impressed with Sally Coco's work, and bringing in models from genetics and biology, and so I too am looking for other models from other scientific disciplines that we can incorporate from linguistics with some sort of insight. But anyway, St. Eustatius, I would suggest, is really a dialect of English. And there's just very few features associated with Creoles. And I give you some of the Creole features here. They have unmarked verbs, interpreted as past. They have a pre-verbal marker go, future tense marker go, and they have a post-nominal pluralizer. But all of the other Creole features that you might assume from any list of typological features are largely absent. And as a matter of fact, when I presented that paper in San Francisco in '92, one of the colleagues in the audience, I wish I could remember who, because I put it in the paper that's under consideration for publication. I borrowed my stole this time. But I attributed it to a colleague, I just can't remember who it was, said, boy, from your data, it looks like this is a Caribbean version of African American English. And so I was really struck by that observation. It hadn't really hit me before. But there is no unu as a second person plural pronoun. There's no day as either a aspectual marker or as a locative, as a way, day, or izzy. And I've recently done some work 2 years ago in Dominica among not the more recent, what might be called intermediate variety, but a variety called Cocoy, which has never been documented. It's the result of a migration from Montserrat and Antigua in the post-emancipation period. And so there's just a couple observations about that. A lot of the varieties in the Eastern Caribbean, by the way, don't have the same pronominal system. There's in many of the areas, not just St. Eustatius, but Barbuda and Dominica, and all three of those varieties of the Eastern Caribbean, there's no unu, there's ayu. Whenever you ask them, have you ever heard unu, they me skip down to really some of my conclusions, seemingly. This argument between Africa and the Americas seems to me to be a false choice, and I really dislike ultimatums. And but I recognize that people like strong arguments, and they like they like to force you to choose, and a lot of people believe that's how the field is advanced. But so be it. I don't want to go sorts of ultimatums because I don't feel that they're very inclusive in the sense that they take into account all of the facts. And I refer you back to the dinosaur theory. I think that some features probably do derive from, derive from a possible restructured English related to Pidgin and Creole, but it's not. I'm not convinced that every variety in the Americas has been influenced by that. Other features may be more directly derived from dialect varieties spoken by colonists and settlers. And I'll give you some likely candidates there. Perhaps progressive special which is a form you find in Eastern Caribbean. So instead of saying me as an I'm eating, they might say me I eat. I'm eating. And I think of this idea of the traditional historical argument, the genetic argument, as really a starting point. Really a starting point for the discussion, not some sort of pick your metaphor, a grand slam or silver bullet that explains everything. I think that's just the starting point. And indeed, I don't pretend that he is particularly unique, outrageously unique. It's really just my descriptive observation, sort of extrapolated from some of the implicit arguments in Ian Hancock's work, but which he has never really developed in any great detail. But I think those four components would largely account for what you would hear in a particular location. But the idea is that these are relative components. So in some area, one of those four might be more important than the others, and that's what's needed by a type of deep description of what's going on in these areas, sort of along the model of dinosaur extinction. Thank you very much.
We have about 5 minutes for questions.